Death blow. Death blow. Death blow.
Hello, this is Esox and you're listening to the Death Blow podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Death Blow Podcast. Subscribe, like, share and click on the bell to be notified with my new videos. Spotify and Apple Podcast to listen the audio version. Instagram, Facebook and TikTok with more updates and news. Thanks to a million podcast website, Death Blow Podcast reached the number 3 position of Best Black Metal Podcast. Thank you everyone for this amazing thing. I would have never imagined such a good step. Today I present you an Italian atmospheric metal band called Esox. This one-man band really surprised me. And now let's watch the rest of the interview. Welcome Esox, this is me Darkel, I present myself and welcome to Death Blow Podcast.
Hello, thank you, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, and so how you doing, man?
It's fine, just boiling in the Italian hot summer, but that's life.
So, I'm very curious about your band. I had the pleasure to listen your couple of songs and this new album. So, let's start with the first question. Tell me what does it mean, the word Esox, and why you decided to compose this band and to form this band?
Well, Esox is the genus name for the northern pike, the fish. The scientific name is Esox lucius. Well, basically, this band combines my two biggest passions, them being marine biology and music. Since I have been interested in marine biology, especially fish, ever since I was like 3 years old, and now I'm studying on becoming an evolutionary biologist. I am already a biologist. I'm doing my master's degree, and for when it comes to black metal, like I wanted to start an atmospheric black metal. Like I've been writing music since 2018, but Esox was formed in 2020 because I wanted to make a band that sounded like Agalloch, but instead of focusing on forests and the woods, but I wanted to focus more on the underwater world, still nature, but on another perspective. Maybe that I think it's a bit rarer in black metal. Like you have some funeral doom bands like Ahab that talk about the ocean, but I don't think there's many black metal bands that do the same.
Yeah, very interesting the fact that you are a biologist and you combine these elements of water together. Find this particular.
Yeah, but I mean, being more of a person of science, like I am a scientist. I'm not very spiritual, so when I write music, I want to be as realistic as possible. It's still poetry, but I'd like to describe it as a scientific paper turned into music.
Yeah, you come from Italy exactly like me. What do you think about the Italian metal scene in general?
Well, it depends. Depends where you're from. I'm from Sicily originally. It's not that big. Like when I was 15 years old, I used to go to concerts, but most of them were, cover bands of Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden. Now I moved to Tuscany, but I don't really hang out with lots of people who listen to metal. But for the scene, I think it's okay. It depends. Like there's some very good people, like the organizers of Frantic Fest. I know some of them personally, and they're very good people. But I don't really meddle that much into the Italian metal scene, actually. Yes. I prefer to stay on my own.
Yeah, and I understand you about this because to organize an event like a metal concert or metal event requires a lot of energy, a lot of people, and to be in contact with a lot of people. So it's not for everyone and it's not easy, I guess.
Yeah, also like I live in Pisa and there's not a metal venue. There are some venues that play it's mostly experimental or electronic music, but metal venues there's none. I think maybe in Florence there's something, but it's not something. It's not places I go to often.
In our country, metal requires a lot of effort to be on the scene because major part of people listen to pop music, hip hop, and the rest of commercial music. So it's complicated to let metal emerge.
Yes and no, because I wouldn't call metal underground anymore. It's 2025, like it's not a niche thing. And okay, of course, if you live in southern Italy, like okay, maybe it's rare to find someone who listens to metal. But like just go to Milan or some other big city, and there are large places. I would actually say that maybe now the trending genre in even underground music is like all these dissonant death metal or stuff like Fulci, and that I get it. They're fine. They're not really my jam, but I get it why they're getting popular. But yeah, for if you're into more into atmospheric black metal, for example, then it's another thing. Like there's very few people that listen to it, but again, I wouldn't call Of course, you won't fill up stadiums playing death metal, but you can certainly play in most cities, like also Bologna or I think Rome as well.
Now let's come back to this new album that is called Watery Grave. Why using the water as a theme? Tell me more about this record.
Well, again, as I said earlier, I've been fascinated with the underwater world ever since I was a kid. Like, it always fascinated, especially because I started with about like getting into whales, like cetaceans. I like the third song on the album is about an extinct sperm whale, and those were the animals I got into first. And then, like when I was very young, I watched Jaws by Steven Spielberg. That even though it did more damage than good, like for sharks and stuff. But I think it's one of the best movies of all time. And water can be both majestical and at the same time frightening because you don't know what's behind. And it's sort of a cliche now to say that we know more about space than the ocean. It's true, like we don't really know much about much the sea, even though we can fairly say that for 99% of it it's empty, but it's an unknown emptiness. And also it's an environment that we can't live in anymore ever since we like selected an evolutionary pattern to live on land, and we die in it. But at the same time, we are still fascinated about it. And also, again, me being a biologist, especially I would say a fish nerd. Like I ever since again I was a kid, I was watching River Monsters with Jeremy Wade. It's just a passion I've always had, especially with freshwater fish, because I find them way more interesting than sea fish, because the rivers as well are a very complex environment because they attract lots of, I'd say, energy, like from the close environment, like from dead organic matters that comes from the trees and animal carcasses and stuff. So it's a blend of all these things.
This atmospheric black metal sound that you composed, it's very complete from the acoustic guitar to the piano. It's not aggressive like other bands. It's slow, it's not fast. And what can you say more about the arrangements?
Well, okay, yeah, I agree with your opinion because that was sort of the point. It's a melancholic album. It's very slow. Well, it's an album about a man choosing to die by drowning. So the music like is sort of accompanying him on his last moments, and I found them. It's a soothing moment. It's not something morbid. It's not violent. It's just letting go and reflects. And he reflects on lots of things like nature and life and death. So, but like when it comes to writing the music, I write the music first and then the lyrics. So the concept album actually arrived later after I finished writing the lyrics. It's just how the music came by because if you listen to the album, it's not just one genre. It's not just black metal, and even if the black metal parts are not, again, they're not war metal or stuff like that. It's more gentler and softer. Also, I think that's where the other influences come into, especially post rock and shoegaze. Like they're very soft, often underproduced songs that give the warm feeling that I was trying to achieve with the album.
You are a one-man band.
Yes.
Why? Is it harder to find musicians that are in your area or are into atmospheric music, or you prefer to work alone?
It's a bit of both, but Esox was born as a studio project, and when it comes to writing, I want to be 100% in control. So it was always planned to be a one-man band. It's my project, it's my child. I want to take care of it. But for future releases, I want to at least have a session drummer because drums are the only thing that I did not play on the album, and they're programmed drums, and you can hear it. So for my next album, I want a live percussionist. And if I start playing live, we'll see in the future. I want to find a full band for live. But when it comes to writing, I just want to be alone.
I like to write alone myself about music, so I understand you about this.
It's personal.
Yeah.
Not personal.
Every single person defines music and writes music in the best way he or she can, because certain people feel more connected with others. Certain people feel more connected with when they are alone, when they have this private place where you can express yourself entirely and be yourself. So I think that right now with technology, it is better in a way, to write music.
Yeah, I agree because that's how I write. But I have lots of friends who are in bands and treat the band as a collective piece. I think it depends on the genre that you play. Like if you play jazz, it makes sense that all of the members take part in the writing process because the keyboard player will have different songwriting skills than the drummer and the guitarist. It makes sense for atmospheric black metal or this style of music. I don't necessarily agree that you must be alone, but for how I write, I definitely find it better. But again, for the future, maybe some session musicians, especially a drummer, but we also see about maybe a professional keyboard player, because I can play the keyboard, but I'm not very good at it. Maybe I want a complex keyboard solo, and I will need to find someone to play it. Or I want to feature trumpets in my future release, so I will have to find a real trumpet player.
There are certain bands that use even a trumpet or a saxophone, but don't
Yeah.
you think that is controversial in a way?
Uh, if this was 1991, I'd say yes, but I always thought that metal and black metal especially um, can be probably the genre of metal where you can experiment the most. And it's funny because on the other end of the spectrum, you have all these true people who say, "Oh no, black metal just has to be, like they did in Norway in the 90s." But I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that you can experiment. Probably the only genre where you can experiment more is electronic music, and that's also where I try to draw inspiration from. So if it fits in the songwriting, I don't see why you can't have it. Like it's not black metal, but the sculpture, Argolot's guitarist side project in the second album, it's more death metal, but they use trumpets and saxophone. It sounds amazing, and it really blends with the dissonant death metal riffs that they have. So I don't see why you can't use that in black metal as well.
How important is to use anonymity in your music?
Oh, I wouldn't say I am anonymous. Like FS is just my initials. You can find them on on Encyclopedia Metallum. There's my real name. I don't. I wouldn't say I'm anonymous. It's just I don't really care about saying, oh, this is my full name and stuff. It's just the music that speaks for it.
What are your main influences musically and lyrically to record this album?
Well, first and foremost, it's Agalog. It's my favorite band, and I think you can hear it. Like it's pretty obvious that they were the main influences. But aside from them, well, musically, I would also say bands like Alcest or Slowdive, Hiroshima. They're a Swedish post-rock band. They're very good. Woods of Ypres, Death in June, Sol Invictus, a bit of Hayhab, Depeche Mode. Actually, basically everything that I listen to, I try to combine it in the music. For the lyrics, well, again, I try to draw inspiration mainly from nature, from animals, especially because they're my main thing. So I try when I write music and also lyrics, I try to picture something. It's like a cinematic experience, and then I let influence come to me. But speaking from non-musical influences, I will also say like movies. For example, my favorite movies are 1922, Nosferatu, the original The Wicker Man, the first Godzilla movie, or any Werner Herzog movie. Those like movies where nature has an important role, and especially an important role within ourselves, the human species. Like the last track on the album features many samples from Grizzly Man by Werner Herzog. It's basically the story. It's a real story about this scientist who worked with bears in Alaska. On his final days, he was studying there, and he got killed by one of the bears. But and the whole movie is like it's both a documentary because it uses real footages, and at the same time it tries to like put on a dilemma whether he died in vain or it makes sense that the protagonist loved nature so much that it fits almost like as he had to die by this. That's all these dilemmas, but Also, the album was written when I was like in a darker place, and so it's the lyrics are sad and stuff. Whereas for my next projects, I want to be I don't want to say like happy music like agriculture, but you know take on um, different takes on the subject of nature black metal.
I consider your music, for example, a melancholic music that accompanies to death, in a way. I would, uh, I would think like this, like you are getting near to death and you have your music to listen to, like to prepare yourself to drown, to use the term of the water, because you use a lot of the water term, and to drown into your own thoughts, to drown into your own mind. It's correct?
Yes, actually, I think one of the reviews like mentioned that it's a daydreamer album, and I think they got it right. I am a big daydreamer, and yeah, I think it fits the description. This album especially.
And about the cover art, what can you tell me more?
It's a painting by a Dutch painter from the 19th century. I don't remember the name. It's very difficult to pronounce, but if you go on Encyclopedia Metallum, it says who the author is, and it was Art Nouveau uh, painter who focused on painting fish from aquariums and rivers. When I found it, like I originally wanted to have an original cover, but as I was looking for inspiration, I came across the painting, and I said, okay, it's perfect. It's how I would have envisioned it, and so I decided to use it. Uh, that's it. I think it fits with the themes of the album. Like if you look at it, like there's this sort of rock formation that we can say almost looks like a burial site, and then there's fish all around. I think the original painting is called Pike and Perch in an Aquarium. I think you can see it, and then the layout that was done by a friend of mine. His name is Luca Macerata. Is a very close friend. He designed, the border to look like a grave.
About instead this album, you worked for this album 5 years, is correct? Why so
Yes.
much time?
Well, and I think it also shows why, because in the fact that I started writing the music as I was recording it, and when I purchased all the stuff, an audio card and some synthesizers, a keyboard and stuff in 2020. And so as I was writing the music, I was also starting to learn how to record my own stuff. And again, it's full of mistakes, and you can hear them. That's why I want to work with a professional producer next time. But it took all this time to write, record, fix problems, and also because in 2022 I moved away from my hometown for university. So for a whole year, I basically did not have time to work on the album. Then I moved all my instruments and stuff to where I live now, and I started working on it again. And that's also why it took all this time.
About the past works that you did, because I was searching even a bit more about your band. You published an EP in 2023. How did
Yes.
you change your musical perspective from this EP to your first full-length album?
Well, the funny thing is that the EP was written and recorded after like the album was finished, um, and it was written like in a couple of months, and it's just one song. I'd say that it's probably a bit more immature on some things and more mature on others. Like I think on a whole compositional, like on the songwriting, There are some things that I think I did better on the EP, like the flow of the music. But when it comes to the production and a lot of the subtle details, that because since I mixed Watery Grave after the EP was released, I think I did much better job on that. Um, I don't know, since I've started writing new stuff earlier this year, so I cannot actually answer your question yet because I still have to, judge the new things that I write. So when my next album or EP comes out, maybe I can answer that question better.
You deal in this record with depression, nihilism. Do you think that it's important to talk about, for
I lost you.
example, mental health in the music, and that could help other people?
Well, it's a very, very good question. I don't know because um, I definitely say yes in a more general term. Like if each and every one of us went to therapy, the world would be definitely a better place. When it comes to poetry, I don't know because I think like lots of great stuff can come out of sadness. Actually, I think it's probably one of the best therapy is to work on the like take inspiration from your own traumas and bad periods and turn them into something positive like art. Um, like with no correlation to what the themes are about, like even if it's a depressed song, but because it's personal, like there are a few biographical things on the record because again I wrote it and as I wasn't living a good moment, but I think I did a good job in exercising those bad moments, turning them into music. So yeah, on a general term, yes, we should maybe talk more about mental health and stuff. But when it comes to art, it just depends on the sensibility of both the writer and the spectator.
About right now the label, do you have a label at the moment?
No, I'm independent. I don't know. We'll see if anyone wants to sign me, but I don't want to live off music. It's a hobby. It's a passionate project, and if this goes well, I am happy about it. But I'm I'm not planning on paying my bills with music.
It's even honest to say it's just a hobby for me, you know what you said. So I think that it is, yeah, it's something cool at the end.
Yeah, that's it. Like I love writing stuff, and that's why I became a musician. Like I've been playing for the last 12 years, and I have always wanted to write my own stuff and release it, and maybe play live. I don't know, but yeah, it's a hobby. Again, if it turns well, if I'm one of the rare cases where the music really hits off, I'm happy, but I'm fine with it. I just want to release my stuff.
Why the songs are so much long?
But I definitely agree. I could say for myself, again, because when I write, I I want to take a cinematic approach to the music, and cinematic things like take time. It's the difference between a short film, a TikTok reel, and a full length, a full movie. Are different languages. Like you can't make a 20-minute long grindcore song. It's impossible. Whereas for maybe the genre that I play in allows for much space, much more diversity in the genres. Like if you listen to one of my songs, or take an analog song or I don't know, a F7 song, like or a summoning song. It's many genres into just one song. It's, there's the more black metal section, then there's the folk section, and then there's the I don't know, death metal section, for example. So I think a long song allows for more songwriting ideas, if I can put it into this way. If the song was just one genre, it would be 5 minutes long. Yeah, I think that's a bit long as well. That's it. Just how I want to approach songwriting. I want to, an intro, a crescendo, a climax, a change of pace, and I think that it's easier, or it fits better into long songs.
How important is nature to write music and its presence, to be surrounded by its presence?
Well, it's everything. Again, as I said, I'm not a religious person. I'm not spiritual, but when I'm surrounded by nature, you can feel something. Not that there's something there, but you can feel like you're small, or you're either small or you're part of everything. And also how I approach the world. I'm a scientist. I study the natural world, so it's a key to understand it. And again, my main form of expression is music, but some others, there's lots of nature photographers, writers like Henry David Thoreau or Ralph Waldo Emerson, those transcendentalist writers. They wrote about nature. It's, I think, one of the great themes of humankind, to our own relationship with nature, and can be both, benignant or malignant, because like the works of Giacomo Leopardi, to name an Italian author, or D'Annunzio, for example.
And something to finish this interview. We arrived at the end. So what can you add more?
Well, what can I add more? Well, again, I'm really grateful for the support that I have received. I did not expect to, even big, I would say big in quotation, that I wasn't expecting, even just one listening. So I'm happy about it. It's something I really care about. Well, next album is in the works. I don't know if it will be an album or an EP yet. I have to decide, but it's going to be a bit different. It's not going to be a black metal album. It's going to be more into neo-folk and industrial, so less electric guitar, more acoustic stuff. And it's going to be about the life cycle of salmons. That's all I can say about now. Also some interesting news about to come in the near future.
Thank you so much. It has been a nice pleasure. I hope that you have enjoyed this interview. Have a nice night, and thank you so much.
You too.
And that's all for this episode of Death Blow Podcast. Subscribe, like, share, and click on the bell to be notified with my new videos. Spotify and Apple Podcasts to listen the audio version. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok with more updates and news. See you soon, guys!